Hey guys, welcome to Y&R Daily Update YouTube channel. Today's topics: Young and the Restless spoilers, Monday, August 11th. Reveal the story revolves around the complexity and tension between the relationships in the Abbott family, especially Audra's involvement in Kyle and Claire's lives. This situation has made Victoria and Newman unable to stand aside when protecting her daughter's happiness. It all started when Audrey kept appearing in Kyle's life, making Victoria feel threatened by the relationship between Claire and Kyle. With Audra's intervention, everything seems to be more complicated than ever. Meanwhile, Claire is facing questions that she cannot answer clearly. Her mother's suspicions only make her more confused. Claire's trust in Kyle is shaken when Audra keeps implying that something happened between her and Kyle in France. Claire doesn't want to believe it, but the story between Audra and Kyle makes her unable to help but doubt. Things get more complicated when Victoria takes the initiative to ask her daughter about Kyle, asking if she suspects him. However, Claire's silence and Audra's assertions create a gap between the two. Kyle, meanwhile, can't stand Audra's insinuations and decides to confront her. At the guild, he meets Audra and confronts her about what made Claire think that something happened between them. Audra, unfazed, replies that something did happen, which angers Kyle, but she doesn't stop there. Audra bluntly reiterates that they were in a private room and he kissed her, a suggestive and provocative statement that escalates the situation. In particular, she asserts that Kyle can't control himself forever. The story culminates when Audra says that he won't win her over. Her words were not only a warning but also a direct challenge to Kyle. She threatened that even if he tried to back away, his weak nature would make him unable to resist her charm. Audrey continued to dominate Kyle with her authoritative words, and did not hesitate to appeal to his weakness. However, this only added more complexity to the relationship between the two. When the situation reached its peak, Audra suddenly grabbed Kyle's lapels and kissed him, and he could not help but kiss her back. At that moment, Claire appeared, witnessed the scene, and was shocked. She stood there, unable to believe what she saw. Her trust in Kyle shattered instantly. At this time, Victoria was present, and her reaction only added to the tension. Victoria tried to salvage the situation and advised her daughter to trust Kyle, even though everything she saw and heard filled her with doubts. The next developments of the story show a relentless war between people with overlapping relationships and dark conspiracies. Audra, with her confidence and cunning, has succeeded in damaging the relationship between Kyle and Claire and has created a challenging and ambiguous environment. On the other hand, Victoria and Claire, although wanting to protect what they believe is right, end up falling into a difficult psychological battle when faced with the harsh truth. Kyle, now facing a greater challenge than ever, not only has to face Claire's suspicion, but also has to fight with his own emotions. He will have to choose between protecting his relationship with Claire or continuing with the temptations that Audra brings. However, the important thing is whether he is strong enough to stand firm against this temptation and protect his love. This story is not just about building relationships between characters, but also opens up deep internal struggles. Every decision Kyle and Claire make can change their fate forever. Will love win, or will the lure of power and passion defeat all? The story begins when Victoria Newman, Claire's anxious and protective mother, is confronted with the fact that the Newman family is not only facing challenges at work, but also more complicated relationships than ever before. Victoria has seen her family relationships tested before, but she has never felt the tension like this. She understands that Claire is not only facing her own difficulties, but also has to worry about potential threats from those around her, especially from Audra. Audra, who has just joined the Newman family, quickly becomes an ambitious character, not afraid to embark on risky plots to consolidate her power. She knows how to stir up trouble and even threaten those around her, especially when Audra realizes that Victor Newman, the head of the family, does not always pursue decisions that are in the best interests of the family, and this will lead to an inevitable confrontation between her and Victor. As Victoria confronts Jack Abbott at society, she can't help but worry about Audra. Jack, who is familiar with the intrigues of the Newman family, sees the tension in Victoria and decides to ask her about Claire's situation. Victoria can't hide her worries, especially when she senses that Audra is becoming increasingly bold and shows no signs of stopping. Victoria, a protective mother, feels she must do something to protect Claire from trouble she may not be ready to face. Claire doesn't need to worry about anything anymore. Not right now, Victoria thinks, determined to do something to stop Audra before the situation goes too far. But she can't do anything but keep her worries to herself, waiting for the right moment to solve this problem. At Society, Audra is having a tense conversation with Nate Hastings, who is growing suspicious of her decisions. Audra informs Nate that she has decided to no longer let Victor sponsor Vronti, a decision that she believes will be a gamaker in the Newman family. Nate doesn't believe her words and begins to suspect that something is wrong. "Did something happen to you?" Nate asks cautiously, but Audrey just smiles and responds as if nothing important is going on. She immediately changes the subject and reminds Nate that the whole family needs to focus on Damien's memory and their plans for the future. But Nate is not so easily fooled and senses that something big is happening. While Audrey plays tricks on Nate, Victor, the head of the Newman family, is unaware that his scheme is being threatened. Although he continues to pursue grand plans to strengthen the family's position in the world of business and politics, his moves become increasingly shady and ruthless. Victor always believes that he is the one who can control everything, but he does not expect that Audra, a new member of the family, has begun to see his dark secrets. Audra discovers some secrets that Victor has kept hidden. This information not only surprises her, but also makes her feel that she has power in her hands. However, Audra's curiosity does not stop at discovering the truth. She begins to find ways to use these secrets to seize power from Victor. But will she choose to confront him, or will she continue to maintain her relationship with the Newman family despite Victor's ruthless schemes? Audra is faced with two choices, and her decision will have a profound impact on the future of the Newman family. If she chooses to confront him, not only Victor, but the entire family will face a fierce power struggle. But if she keeps these secrets and continues to cooperate with Victor, she will have to live with dark schemes that she does not fully believe in. Audra knows that her moves will change everything, but she cannot go back. Meanwhile, Victoria continues to protect her daughter, and Audra's decisions will affect everyone around her. She cannot help but worry when she sees Clare starting to lose trust in those around her, especially when Clare hears rumors and innuendos from Audra. Victoria knows that if she does not act now, unforeseen consequences will occur, and the Newman family will not be able to continue to maintain its unity as before. The story of Audra, Victoria, and Victor gradually unfolds a battle for power and trust within the Newman family. Each has their own goals and reasons, and their decisions will create major changes, not only within the family, but also in the competitive business world. Can Audra overthrow Victor and become the head of the Newman family? Or will she choose the path of cooperation to maintain her power in the shadows? Surely the truth will be revealed and everyone will face difficult choices in this struggle. The story takes place at Society, a familiar place for tense meetings and secrets that are slowly being revealed. For Kyle, this meeting with Audra is more than just a normal conversation. Everything seems to be pushing him into a struggle, not only with himself, but also with the complex emotions that he has never fully controlled. As Kyle enters the room, his eyes lock on Audra, who is leaning against the bar, her face calm, but hiding a seductive competence. There is no denying that Audra has changed significantly since joining the Newman family. She is not only an ambitious woman, but also a cunning opponent, someone who knows how to use her charm to manipulate and control everything around her. "Audra, you're lucky I didn't tell Nate about what you did to Clare," Kyle says, his voice no longer as calm as usual. Anger began to rise in him as he thought about the way Audra had been constantly stirring up anxiety in his relationship with Clare. Audra, not at all intimidated, shrugged lightly, took a sip of her wine, and looked at Kyle with a challenging gaze. She sneered, recalling an event that had happened not long ago when they had both been in Nice. "Kyle, don't forget what happened in Nice. We kissed and I can see that there was a part of you that was hard to contain." Audra Yuangxi's words were like a blow to Kyle's pride. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. He felt like he was being dragged into a fight he didn't want to fight. But there was no denying that Audra Yuang's presence with all her charm and mystery was slowly wearing him down. Kay couldn't let Audrey continue to say these things without a response. He took a deep breath, trying to regain his composure. "Back off, Audra. You've met your match when it comes to me," Kyle said, his voice hard and determined. He couldn't afford to get bogged down in this dangerous game. But Audra, still confident as ever, was undaunted by Kyle's warning. She glanced at him with sharp eyes, her lips curling into a sly smile. "Oh, Kyle, I know you're not easy to control, but I still believe I can seduce you," Audra replied, her eyes sparkling with defiance. Audra stepped closer, And before Kyle could react, she kissed him passionately, igniting emotions he thought had long been extinguished. The moment was like a bolt of lightning in the dark, shattering the peace he had tried so hard to maintain. As soon as their lips parted, a sound came from nearby, startling them both. Claire, who had just entered society, stood at the door, stunned. She couldn't believe her eyes as she saw the scene before her. Pieces of Claire's faith began to fall away little by little, like grains of sand slipping through her fingers. She saw the man she trusted, the man she had chosen as her life partner, kissing another woman right before her eyes. A feeling of shock and disappointment flashed through Claire's eyes. She couldn't say anything, just stood there silent until her lips trembled with anger and pain. Kyle turned around, his eyes furrowed, when he realized that Claire had seen it all. "Kyle, really?" Claire said, her voice low, full of pain and despair. She couldn't believe what she had just seen, and immediately, doubts about his loyalty rose, stronger than ever. Claire didn't want to believe it, but the reality was right before her eyes. She stood there, not knowing what to do, only knowing that their relationship was on the brink. Kyle, feeling the painful truth like a slap in the face, hurriedly walked towards Claire. "Claire, I didn't think this would happen. You have to understand." But before she could finish her sentence, Claire turned and walked away, tears starting to flow down her face. She couldn't bear it any longer. Everything was too complicated and too painful. Audra watched, a cold smile on her face. She knew that she had messed everything up, and whether or not the plan succeeded, at least she had created a wave strong enough to change everything. This situation was not only a struggle between the two women in Kyle's life, but also an important turning point in his life. The choices he made now would shape not only the future of his relationship with Claire, but also determine whether he could regain the trust and love of the woman he loved. Audra, with her ingenuity and cunning, caused a huge shock. But can she completely win this battle? The story continues to get complicated as Lily Winters faces tough decisions and tense situations involving Cain Ashby. When Lily decides to meet with Cain to discuss the future of the Winters Company and the competition from other big companies in town, she can't help but think about the impact he's having on her work and her family. The troubles in their relationship have been going on for a long time. But Lily can't ignore the fact that Cain is trying to manipulate what she has built. Lily doesn't just go to Cain for work, but also because she's worried about his schemes. She knows that Cain, with his own agenda, may be pursuing a takeover of Bronte, part of the Newmans' grand plans. Lily has long known that Victor, the head of the Newman family, doesn't trust Cain. The machinations behind this takeover could have dire consequences for the Winters family and the company. So Lily decided to go see Audra, who was still an important part of Newman's relationships and business plans. "Cain definitely won't give up on Bronte," Lily warned Audra, her eyes filled with worry. "He won't stop, especially when it comes to Newman. You have to be careful." Audra, with a calm expression, didn't rush to respond immediately. Instead, she just smiled and nodded. "Our partnership is over, Lily. I don't think there will be anything more worrying from Cain." But Lily wasn't satisfied with this answer. She still felt that Audra was hiding something and not being completely honest with her. Lily's trust in Audra was no longer intact, and she knew that she had to be on guard. When Lily mentioned Victor's concerns about Cain, Nate couldn't hide the worry in his eyes. Both he and Lily knew that if Cain was truly determined to pursue Bronte, he would likely take advantage of any situation to achieve his goals. This made Nate worried that Cain would not hesitate to manipulate those around him, including his family. "Lily, you have to be careful," Nate advised. "Cain is not someone who is easy to control. If he is determined, he might find a way to take advantage of the situation to manipulate all of us." Lily sensed Nate's anxiety, but she also understood that she was the only one who could approach Cain and make him open up. She decided to go to GCAC, where Cain worked, to discuss it directly with him. When she arrived, an unexpected event occurred, causing her to face the secrets that had not been revealed. While standing in the office, Lily heard a knock on the door, and when she opened the door, she did not expect the person standing in front of her to be Holden Novak. Holden, expressionless, pretends not to know about Aristotle Dumas' true identity, and says that he has a business opportunity that Dumas texted him about. Lily is surprised by Holden's appearance, and she does not hesitate to reveal that it was Cain Ashby who impersonated Aristotle Dumas. She explains that Cain, her ex, has used this name to engage in business activities without her knowledge. Holden pretends to be shocked by this information, but in his heart, his surprise is even greater when he hears Lily mention the name Dumas. "I can't believe it," Holden says, his eyes widening as he listens to Lily's explanation. "Cain is Duma. So, I didn't know about this." Holden, a newcomer to the complicated relationships in town, feels awkward at Lily's revelation. As the conversation continued, Lily couldn't help but notice that Holden hadn't heard about Damien's gruesome fate. He was completely surprised to learn that Damon was dead. This made Lily feel even more heartbroken. "Damon's dead. He was murdered," Lily confessed, her heart sinking as she thought about what had happened. Holden, still in disbelief, remained silent. Why Damon was killed and who was behind his death remained unanswered. Lily felt a surge of pain in her heart. For not only had she lost Damien, but she also felt that Cain was slowly leading her into a dangerous game that she could not control. Lily, although still in love with Cain, was tired of his secrets and lies. She could no longer compromise with Cain's actions. And when Holden expressed his intention to enter into a business opportunity with Dumas, Lily immediately stopped him. "Holden, I don't trust Cain," Lily advised. "Before you decide to enter into any business opportunity with him, you have to think carefully. He is not trustworthy." Holden listened to Lily's warning, but there were still doubts in his heart that could not be dispelled. He knew that life in this town was full of surprises, and he had to be very careful in choosing his path. However, Lily could not help but feel a surge of anxiety. Cain's decisions would not only affect her family, but could also lead to major changes in the town. What would she do to protect not only her family, but also Winter's future? After Holden left, Lily stood silently in the room, thinking about what had just happened. She couldn't help but feel a sense of unease creeping into her mind. Cain's dark secrets were slowly coming to light. And whether she wanted to or not, Lily had to face the fact that their relationship could no longer continue as before. Cain had not only caused chaos in her work, but also in their personal lives. Lily understood that she could no longer simply compromise with Cain's empty promises. She had heard his explanations and apologies many times, but each time she felt a void in her heart. What Cain was doing, the conspiracies he was involved in were gradually pushing her away from him, and as she began to realize that, Lily also understood that she could no longer continue living in a world full of lies. When Lily returned to the office, she decided not to let things pass quietly. She begins to search for documents related to Cain's recent transactions, evidence that may help her better understand the relationships he has established behind her back. Although she knows that things could get dangerous, Lily is determined not to let herself be deceived again. Meanwhile, Cain is also facing a crisis of his own. He realizes that his actions have begun to attract attention not only from Lily, but also from those around him. He feels increasing pressure as his relationship with Victor is no longer peaceful. Although Cain has always been proud of his business strategies and plans, he now cannot help but feel tormented and confused. He cannot understand why Lily, whom he still loves, cannot forgive him and his decisions. One evening, while Cain is sitting alone at his desk, images of Damien appear in his mind. Damien's death changes everything. Not only does Cain lose a friend, but he also has to face a storm of secrets that he has been hiding. His actions over the past few months have become more than just a business strategy. They have become a fight to protect what he thinks is power and control. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. But can he keep it all without losing what is most important in his life? While Cain was struggling with himself, Lily had her own important decisions to make. She couldn't keep waiting for a change from him. She knew that if she didn't act now, her life would be dragged into a spiral from which she couldn't escape. With determination, Lily decided to meet Holden again. She knew that what she had just heard from Holden would have a big impact on her decision, and it might be the only way to solve all of this trouble. She met Holden at a small coffee shop. When they met, Lily couldn't hide the tension in her eyes. "Holden, I need your help," Lily said, her voice firm and decisive. "I can't let Cain continue to run what he's doing without control. I need you to help me find out the truth about him, the deals he's involved in. I can't continue to live in this darkness." Holden, though a little surprised by Lily's offer, understood that she was at a crossroads in her life. "Lily, I'll help you," he said, "but I must warn you that this could be dangerous. Cain is a man who will do anything to protect himself, and he won't hesitate to use any means necessary to win." Lily nodded, her anxiety rising again, but she couldn't turn back. She couldn't stand by and watch Cain continue to paint shady relationships that would harm everyone around him. It was time for her to clear things up, not just for the Winters family, but for herself. That night, Lily returned with a steely determination. She began to analyze the information she had gathered about Cain and his relationships. The messages from Dumas, the meetings with shady business partners, none of it seemed innocent. Lily decided to confront Cain again, not as his ex-wife, but as a determined and strong woman who would not allow herself to be manipulated again. As Lily entered Cain's office, he saw the determination in her eyes. "Lily, you can't do anything to me anymore," Cain said, his voice weary. "It's too late." Lily did not back down. "I don't need your explanations anymore, Cain," she said, her voice firm. "I don't want to hear your empty promises anymore. I just want to know one thing. Do you still love me? Or is it all just a power play?" Lily's question silenced Cain. He looked at her, his eyes filled with sadness and regret, but the words he wanted to say were stuck in his throat. His dark secrets had been revealed, and now he had no idea what to do to save the situation. Subscribe to Y&R channel to update the latest news on our channel. The episode centers on escalating conflicts within the Abbott and Newman families, marked by complex relationships, betrayals, and power struggles. Audra's persistent involvement in Kyle and Claire's relationship creates tension, leading to Claire's growing mistrust of Kyle. Audra's provocative actions, including a surprising kiss with Kyle witnessed by Clare, shatter Claire's trust and deepen the conflict. Victoria Newman, Claire's protective mother, tries to mediate and shield her daughter from Audra's manipulations but finds herself embroiled in a psychological battle within the family. Beyond the personal drama, Audra emerges as a cunning and ambitious figure within the Newman family, uncovering dark secrets about Victor Newman and threatening his control. Her strategic moves set the stage for a fierce power struggle that could reshape the family's dynamics and business empire. Meanwhile, Lily Winters faces her own challenges as she grapples with Cain Ashby's manipulations and secretive actions, which jeopardize her family's business and personal life. Lily's distrust of Cain grows as she uncovers his deceptive tactics, including impersonations and shady dealings linked to the late Damien's mysterious death. As tensions rise, Lily enlists Holden's help to investigate Cain's activities. This alliance marks a turning point, highlighting the dangerous game of power, betrayal, and survival that dominates the Newman and Winters families. The episode ends with Lily confronting Cain, demanding clarity about his true feelings and intentions, signaling an impending showdown that will impact all involved. Audra's interference triggers a dramatic rift between Kyle and Clare, culminating in a shocking kiss that devastates Clare. Victoria Newman fiercely protects her daughter but struggles with the growing family tension and Audra's manipulations. Audra discovers Victor Newman's dark secrets, positioning herself as a potential challenger to his power within the family. Lily Winters confronts Cain Ashby's deceptive business maneuvers threatening her family's legacy. Lily allies with Holden to uncover Cain's hidden schemes, indicating a brewing power struggle. Claire's trust in Kyle collapses, underscoring the emotional turmoil caused by Audra's provocations. The episode lays the groundwork for intense battles over love, loyalty, and control within the Newman and Winters families. The fragility of trust in relationships. Claire's shattered trust in Kyle after witnessing his kiss with Audra highlights how fragile romantic relationships can be when external manipulation is involved. The emotional fallout underscores the importance of communication and transparency, which are severely lacking here due to Audra's interference. Audra as a catalyst for chaos. Audra's role is pivotal. She is not merely a disruptive force but a strategic player who uses psychological manipulation and seduction to destabilize key relationships. Her ambition and cunning suggests she will continue to be a major antagonist, leveraging secrets and vulnerabilities for power. Victoria's protective instincts versus family politics. Victoria's struggle reflects the challenges of balancing maternal protection with complex family dynamics. Her inability to fully control the situation shows how even well-intentioned interventions can escalate tensions when multiple agendas collide. Power struggles within empires. The uncovering of Victor Newman's secrets by Audra introduces a classic theme of internal family power struggles. This conflict between traditional authority Victor and emerging challengers Audra mirrors real-world corporate and familial battles for control, emphasizing the interplay between personal relationships and business interests. The intersection of business and personal betrayal. Lily's storyline with Cain reveals how business conflicts often mirror personal betrayals. Cain's double life. involving impersonation and secret deals, threatens not just professional stability but also emotional security, highlighting the interconnectedness of personal and professional realms in high-stakes environments. The role of alliances in survival. Lily's decision to partner with Holden to expose Cain underscores the necessity of alliances in navigating complex power games. This alliance signals strategic shifts and the importance of trust and information sharing in combating deceit and manipulation. The cost of deception. The episode demonstrates how deception, whether in love or business, leads to isolation and mistrust. Cain's inability to maintain honest relationships leaves him vulnerable, despite his power and influence. Likewise, Audra's manipulations create chaos but also paint her as a figure whose ambitions come at significant relational costs. The episode intricately weaves emotional and strategic conflicts, illustrating how personal relationships are deeply entangled with power dynamics and secret agendas within influential families. The characters face tough choices that will define their futures, emphasizing themes of trust, betrayal, ambition, and the consequences of hidden truths.